Morning, all. Welcome to a preview of 4 games. We got 4 games today, and this video is brought to you by Scoop from Patreon. So thanks, Scoop, for your continued support for the channel and all that wonderful stuff. So, it's a fun username to say, isn't it? Yeah, so we have 4 games tonight. Keep in mind that if you want to track prospects, eliteprospects.com, you use THG25 as a promo code. When you sign up, you get 25% off. That code is active until the 7th. Yes, I remembered again. So proud of myself. I should just stop the video now because I remember 2 things. I'm good. That's 2 things I remembered. Because when I get into the previews, people just talk about what I forgot. So, let's get into the stuff I'm going to forget. Pittsburgh 8-5-1 in against the 10-1-2 Boston Bruins. That game starts at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. Over their last 10, Pittsburgh is 6-3-1, Boston 7-1-2. Goal differentials: Pittsburgh's at +14, Boston's at +19. It's a fun number, but goal differential to me isn't really a big deal until around midway through the season, where you've played mostly everybody once. There's going to be 1 or 2 games that might be skewing it really strongly in your favor. So I threw it on the board today for something different. Goals leader is Gensel for Pittsburgh. He has 7 goals and 6 assists. Points leader is Crosby with 5 goals and 12 assists. Game-winning goals leader, it's actually Jared McCann with 2. Ice time, Chris Letang leads there with an average of 25 minutes and 31 seconds on average. They are scoring 3.36 goals per game and allowing 2.36. So exactly 1 goal differential. Pasternak's the leading goal scorer for Boston. No surprise there. 13 goals, 14 assists, 27 points. He can't keep up at that pace. He can't. And that's where Boston's depth is going to get challenged. Marchand's their second leading scorer overall. 8 goals, 15 assists, 23 points. So Pastrnak leads them in goals and points. Game-winning goals: Heinen, Pastrnak, and Marchand all have 2 each. To which people go, Heinen's got 2? Yeah, he's got 2. Ice time leader is Charlie McAvoy with an average of 22 minutes and 5 seconds. Goals for per game, 3.54, and they're only allowing 2. Yarrow Halak's been confirmed. There's been no confirmation yet from Pittsburgh. I would imagine Murray. I can't see a situation where it wouldn't be Murray. And this, of course, is a rematch of a playoff matchup we've seen a few times. And it's 2 teams that wear black and gold. And it's one that wanted to wear black and gold that had to actually fight Boston to get it. Because Boston said those were their colors, and Pittsburgh had to go and argue, yeah, you can't just have a color scheme all to yourselves. And it was decided that the Penguins were right. So if you look back at old Penguins jerseys, you go, why were they blue when their logo was clearly black and gold? That's why, because Boston, they owned it. All right, moving along from trivial information to Vancouver. Ottawa in against the New York Rangers. Ottawa sitting at 3-8-1, the Rangers at 5-5-1. Over their last 10 games, Ottawa's 3-6-1, whereas the Rangers are 4-5-1. But it feels like the Rangers are starting to put it together. Goal differentials: Ottawa's at -11, the Rangers are at -1. Goals leaders: Anthony Duclair has 5 goals and 1 assist for the Ottawa Senators. He's been pretty darn solid for them. Connor Brown is their leading point scorer, 2 goals, 9 assists for them. Game-winning goals: they've got 3 guys with 1. Nemesnikov, Pajot, and Nick Paul. Ice time leader is Shabbat with 26 minutes and 29 seconds on average. He is playing a ton. It's like, hey, you just signed that extension. You're playing a lot. On the Rangers side of things, Panarin's their leading goal scorer. He has 5 goals and 6 assists. There are 2 other players who tied him in points. For the lead, Strome, 4 goals, 7 assists. And Zibanejad, 4 goals, 7 assists, who's been injured the last few. Otherwise, he'd be the number 1 point producer all by himself. Game-winning goals: Strome has 2. So the story that he's been continues. Again, I'm just enjoying what Ryan Strome's doing so far. I'm not trying to project out how far it goes. Ice time leader is Jacob Trouba with 24 minutes even played per game. Pretty well. He's been excellent for the Rangers. On the game goals for and against, Speak, Shannon, you can do this. Goals for and against per game. Goals for per game for Ottawa, 2.58. Goals against, 3.42. I don't have to tell you guys those numbers are not conducive to victories. Goals for per game, 3.18 for the Rangers, 3.27 against. So they're just barely a difference there. We've already heard the starting goalies, Nilsson and Georgiev. And what's interesting about this matchup is these are two goaltenders that were expected to be the backups in all likelihood, and yet they're kind of looking like the starters in that both Anderson and Lundqvist. In Lundqvist's case, I think he needs more rest than he did before. And in Anderson's case, much the same. There's no shame in that. And in the case of the Rangers, they may have a starter they can rely on in Georgiev as soon as now. And for Ottawa, I think Nilsson's kind of a placeholder until they figure out what they're going to do next. So, pretty solid placeholder, though, with Nilsson, really. Moving along. Nashville, the Predators, in against Detroit. This game starts at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Nashville 8-4-2 in their last 10. They're 5-3-2. Their goal differential is plus 12. On the Detroit side, everything's a disaster. They're 4-10-1 over their last 10. They're 1-8-1, and they have a goal differential of negative 24. It's been bad for Detroit, and I don't know when it gets better, if it gets better. The negative 24, yeah, they've earned that. Now, scoring leaders, Nick Bonino's your leading goal scorer for Nashville, 7 goals, 4 assists. It's weird. I mean, I like Nick Bonino, but seeing him as the leading goal scorer is strange. It shows how early it is in the season. Yossi's your leading point producer, 5 goals, 9 assists. He is tied with Ryan Ellis, who has 2 goals and 12 assists as well, 14 points. Game-winning goals, there are 8 players with 1. I wasn't putting all 8 of them on the board. Nope. Ice time leader is Roman Josi with an average of 24 minutes and 27 seconds per game. On the Detroit side, Mantha is your leading goal scorer with 9 goals, 5 assists, 14 points. Other leading point scorer is Tyler Bertuzzi, 6 goals, 8 assists, 14 points for him. And for Bertuzzi, it's been an excellent season so far. Game-winning goals, Mantha with 2. Not a surprise he'd lead there. Ice time leader is Hronik with 23 minutes and 3 seconds on average. Goal differentials, well, for goals for and against, goals for per game for Nashville, 3.86. Goals against per game, 2.93. So their goals against is higher than a lot of the other numbers on the board, but their goals for is fantastic. I don't know how long that lasts, but for right now, everything's good. On the Detroit side, they're scoring 2.2 goals per game, and they're allowing 3.8 goals per game. And Jimmy Howard's listed as likely. I would imagine it's Pekka Rinne tonight. I wouldn't be surprised to go with Saros because it's Detroit. And when you're playing against Detroit, I think that's a spot to play the backup. Most nights. Not always, but most nights. And with Nashville, we're looking at a situation where they're going to be moving towards Saros being the starter at some point. We're still waiting on that, but it's going to happen. All right, last game of the night, Arizona. This one starts at 6 o'clock. They're in Edmonton against the Oilers. This should be the game of the night. No offense to the other three, especially Pittsburgh and Boston, which could be fantastic. But I think Arizona and Edmonton should be really interesting because we have 2 teams that are playing very well defensively. One of them was expected to, the other one not so much. We have 2 teams that are scoring around the same, which is unexpected, in that Arizona's scoring is pretty good. And as long as that's the case, they have an excellent chance of making the playoffs. Now, Arizona's 8-4-1 over their last 10. They're 7-2-1. They have a goal differential of plus 10. On the Edmonton side, they're 10-4-1 over their last 10. They're 5-4-1. Their goal differential is plus 6. But with Edmonton, there's a lopsided loss or 2 in there that I think skews the numbers against them. Overall, though, been an excellent start for Edmonton. I don't think anybody's going to take that away from them. Goals leader, Garland, 7 goals, 2 assists for him. Points leader is Schmaltz with 4 goals and 8 assists. Game-winning goals, Schmaltz and Dvorak both have 2 for Arizona. Ice time leader is Ekman Larsson with 24 minutes and 55 seconds on average. On the Edmonton side, Draisaitl's their leading goal scorer with 13 goals, 13 assists. McDavid's next up in points with 6 goals and 17 assists. So 23 points in 15 games. It's not bad. That's pretty good. Sure. Game-winning goals, Draisaitl has 3. Ice time leader is Klefbom with 25 minutes and 35 seconds on average. No, it's not Connor McDavid. It just feels like he's on the ice all the time. And I'm sure for him at some point he'll start feeling like he's on the ice all the time as well. Don't wear him out. On the goals for and against front, goals for per game, Arizona's getting 2.85. Goals against per game, 2.15. They are second to Boston in that regard. Goals for per game, Edmonton's at 2.87 there. Goals against, 2.47. As long as their goaltending holds out, Edmonton will remain in the playoff hunt. They will remain in the mix. It was one thing that going into this season looked suspect. And so far it has been potentially their greatest strength outside of the combination of Draisaitl and McDavid. This team will go as far as Leon Draisaitl and McDavid will take him. And I wouldn't bet against him taking him pretty far. Draisaitl's numbers are almost identical to Pasternak's, and I think Draisaitl's is kind of more impressive in that it was. I'm not well, yeah. To me, it's a little more unexpected than Pasternak, only because Pasternak plays on that top line, which everybody knows is excellent. And Draisaitl, I think there were some that expected him to fall back from that 50-goal season last year, and he may be taking that as a challenge. He only needs to score 37 goals from here to hit 50. I think 50 would be lowballing it right now if you were going to try to figure out how many goals he'll get. He could end up with 60. He'd only need 47 for 60, so he could do it. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below and your winners and all that wonderful stuff regarding today's games. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.